Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Artisan Cutlery Satyr, which I've been pronouncing Satyr. That's apparently wrong. This was designed by Chris Ortiz of Cerberus Knives, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is one of the best offerings on the market under $200. I'm going to tell you why, believe me. But I am so impressed with this knife. I will link it right down below. You guys can check it out if you want to. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that is entirely up to you. Thanks so much to Artisan Cutlery for providing this knife for review. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Let me show off this beautiful, super high polished S90V blade. Yeah, you heard me right. This is titanium and what they call like a sand wash. God, I love this finish. I've been saying this ever since Artisan Cutlery and CJRB showed it off, I think on a pyrite the first time I saw it. We do not see this type of finish at this price point on similar knives, right? When we're talking titanium. We certainly don't see it on steels like S90V. And the other nice thing is that Artisan Cutlery is hitting S90V where it should be hit. This is not M390. It has a different optimal range. 59 to 61 is fantastic for S90V, and that is what they are hitting it at. So I'm going to give you some more details on this, but I just wanted to show that off. Normally, we either get a medium reflectivity tumbled finish or we get a wah-wah machine satin finish, which is boring. This is cool. This is interesting. It looks so nice. And yeah, I'm really impressed with it, definitely. So let's go ahead and get a measurement of the Satyr. Overall length is coming in at 7.75 inches. Blade length is coming in at 3.35. Cutting edge is also coming in at 3.35. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Any knives with custom scales, you can find those custom scales down in the description under Original Goat. So up against the Cold Steel Demco AD10 and the Demco AD15, 20.5. You can see here that the 20.5 is similar in overall length, but the Satyr is a little bit longer. How about up against the, we've got the scale in the wrong place today, Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. I think this is kind of right in between those two, kind of, maybe a little closer to the Spyderco Para 3. It's right in there. And then last but not least, how about the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue. And let's do the Hogue Deca. Definitely similar in overall length to the Hogue Deca. How is the action? The action is really, really good. Not, not a tightness that, feels like it's going to need forever to break in. And not so loose that when it does break in, it's going to be, kind of floppy and, just wiggling around in there. No, it feels really fantastic and very consistent. Also, the detent is nice and clicky, which is what I like. This little hole here, they've cut out just enough room to be able to access it. They didn't carve this line directly below the hole, which is that's a mistake that a lot of companies, a lot of designers make. This is Ortiz, obviously. He knows what he's doing. He didn't cut this line right below the oval. Like, there you go, good luck. I hope the tips of your fingers are shaped like Tic Tacs, because otherwise you're not getting in there, right? No, he didn't do that. He gave us plenty of room, right? Because there's meat on the end of your finger. You gotta be able to get in there and have some leverage. That's what she said. Sorry. I gotta make the jokes too, right? There's nothing I can do. I'm halfway through the dialogue and I realize, well, I'm screwed now, right? But no, thank you. That's what we want. The action is very good, and access to that opening oval is great. Also, access to the lock bar is great. Before you ask, can you open it like this? Yes, you can. The reason I'm avoiding doing that is because it puts fingerprints on it, which is not a big deal after you own it. But you guys cranking the definition up to 4K probably don't want to see fingerprints all over it, right? So anyways, access to the lock bar, very good, and we can see how they've knocked this out and even milled it. I think, is there some texture? No, there's just my eyes playing tricks on me. The texturing's on this side, which we're going to get to. But this is very, very good, very preferable. This comes down in the sharpening choil to land on your finger. So one hand manipulation, very easy, very good, very preferable. Just big thumbs up all the way around. How about carry profile? thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. Look at that. Not thick, not at all. Not so thin that it feels dainty or it feels weird in the hand either. It's the right, thinness, because the scales are also contoured. Let's do carry profile, length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. You can see here just a little bit longer than the Para 3, a little shorter than the PM2. Not quite as tall as either, which is really nice. Materials, like I said, titanium, S90V, and then more titanium and more titanium. I don't think they've actually done any milling on the inside. No. Artisan Cutlery typically doesn't, but they don't need to. The weight on this knife is very good. I'll show you. 3.77 ounces. They could have milled it out and knocked another quarter ounce to maybe, half an ounce out of it. I doubt half an ounce, right? But who cares? I don't. It's 3.77 ounces. That's plenty lightweight for me, especially considering it's a full titanium knife with a balance point directly behind the pivot and right in the standard choil zone or the standard grip zone, which is where it should be. This is going to carry light. It's going to carry compact. Not so compact that you'll forget it's there. It's just kind of that just right feel for all titanium. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. The scale, which I usually complain about not knowing where it is, just like I keep putting it down in the way today. Let's get out my tools. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. So the pivot's going to be a T8, right? Now that's what we expect from Artisan Cutlery is a T8 pivot. What we don't expect are T8 screws, which is just the cherry on top. That's just really, really nice that we have T8 finally. Thank you, Artisan Cutlery, please. And extend this to CJRB as well with the models there. I would just love it. There's like 3 or 4 goofballs in my comment section who are like, no, T6 all the way. Team T6 here. We love breaking our tools and breaking and stripping out our hardware. It's our favorite thing. Aside from those people, I think you'll make everybody else like super happy if we just go T8 or larger. But yeah, I love the T8 on here, and we've got 2 screws, and then we've got 1 screw here and 1 hidden screw holding in the pocket clip, which could be a T6. I would let that one slide. Very, very easy to take apart and put back together because we're looking at a simple sandwich construction frame with the back spacer, so that's great. Fantastic, no complaints. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness real quick. Blade stock thickness is coming in at there we go. Blade stock thickness coming in at it's 125 thousandths. So about what I expected. Okay, meat and potatoes time. This has a profile that we have seen many times, right? This is the type of knife that sort of incites the that looks like the, and then insert any number of knives, right? Whatever you think it looks like, there's 100 more that look just like that, and that's fine because it's got classic knife lines. It's got functional, time-tested knife lines. The ergonomic lines are good. This is a knife that has slight contouring and very beautiful micro texturing right here. This is really nice, and then these areas right here where they've chamfered it are flat. I wish they had rounded it a little bit more right here. Gets a tad sharp, but not so sharp that you're, oh, I'm going to have to go to the hospital. It's not that bad. They could have knocked this down a little bit more, but as far as like the total number of complaints in this video, you just heard most of them. Like that's pretty much it, honestly. I honestly, the ergonomic lines are good enough. It's really only in the most extreme scenarios where you're squeezing this thing, holding on for dear life. Like if you have this jammed into the side of a mountain, you've been climbing a mountain face with no harness or no safety equipment or anything. All you've been using is this knife, and your feet slip and your other hand slips and your only grip, right? You look down below and for some reason you're 30,000 feet in the air. There's not even a mountain that high, but that's how high you are. So you better hold on. In that situation, it might hurt your hand a little bit. Outside of that, though, I can't really imagine, realistically, though, if you're not wearing gloves and you're doing work for long periods of time or just continuous cutting, you might notice it. But if you're going to do continuous cutting with a knife, you should be wearing gloves, right? So most of the time, not going to be that big of a deal. Really good. Overall, the rest of the handle is just like a basic knife handle. That's just what we see. There's no lanyard hole, but who cares? We don't need one. They did put Artisan Cutlery on the backspacer, but this is a little bit lighter and a little smaller than what I normally see, so I don't really mind that. I think this would have actually looked good with a pivot collar. Not a colored pivot collar, just a silver, right, or even like a matte gray pivot collar, just to give it a little bit of spiceroo there, maybe a little bit. But if, I mean, that's very subjective, so whatever you think about that. The real highlight here is the blade. And by the way, Artisan Cutlery, I love how you just tucked that logo away right there. I almost didn't even see it, and that's how we should do it. It's there for the people who know to look for it. Outside of that, it's out of the way so that we can appreciate the rest of the blade. That's magnificent. I really like that. And obviously, a lot of that credit has to go to Mr. Ortiz here, who just has, they must have to put those codes on there. I hate them, but they're there. And then, of course, I don't mind the designer putting his logo on a knife. I mean, you want people to know, right? You want people to know who designed it. And then it says S90V on this side. Really beautiful. The spine has been knocked down. There's a little bit of jimping here. This is great. This is flat ground with a flat, and then it's a typical kind of drop point blade. Outside of that, I'll give you a demonstration of the factory edge on paper, which doesn't prove much, but I can show you how slicey it is. Whoops, right out of the box, and it is definitely slicey. Not really any lifting. It's more of a slice and less of a tear, which is what you want to see and what you would expect from a knife like this, right? S90V is going to hold an edge for a very, very long time. It will definitely hold an edge longer than M390. I got to be honest with you guys, M390 is fine, but I'm ready for M390 to take a back seat to S90V. Neither steel is new. Neither of them. They're both old steels. But S90V used to be damned to a classification of knife that was a tier up from M390. It was like, oh, you got your basic 154 cm. You can upgrade it to the special edition in S30V, or come with me to the back rooms, folks. I got a super secret special edition here. This here, and it's like a beam of light on a podium. This here is the super secret ultra version in M390. What's M390, you say? Well, it's the best. What about S90V? S90V, we don't talk about S90V here, Sonny. That's now listen, S90V, that's in a totally different caliber. S90V, it's not even, we're not even the same universe here, okay? So why don't you just take your little dog and take all your crap and get out of here, all right? You used to be, I mean, I'm putting on a big show here, but I remember how it used to be like that. Obviously, it's not been like that for a while. I think I'm referencing like pre-2010 or maybe slightly, past 2010. But S90V, you couldn't touch it for, prices are different now, right? There's inflation, so you have to factor that in. But you just didn't see S90V on just a production knife, right? Even back then, it was crazy to get S90V for under $200, and that was a long time ago. So yeah, I'm ready for M390 to take a back seat to it, because in my opinion, the balance on S90V is better. It has way better edge retention. It's stainless enough. I don't care about the excess stainlessness of M390. Some people might, right? Depends on what you want. But I think for the average person, we don't need that much stainlessness, right? And it should be about the same in terms of toughness. It depends on the chart you look at and obviously how hard it is. But from what I've seen over the last decade and a half, it's got about the same level of toughness. And it's not necessarily that much harder to sharpen or touch up. So really the trade-off there, in my opinion, is better. I would prefer that S90V take the spot of M390 in terms of the standard preferred premium pocket knife steel. Obviously, we have MagnaCut, a number of others in here, but M390 is sort of the default. It has been for at least a decade, the default, like, yeah, it's a good knife because it has M390 and I won't question anything else about it. If we're going to have a steel that takes that place, right? Because there has to be. It's just like you can't have a void. There has to be something there, right? If we got to have a steel that's there, that's filling that void, that don't ask any questions, it's just that good steel, S90V. That's what it should be. That rhymed. So that's my opinion there. It's very, very good. You can tell that I'm excited about this knife because it brings out the stories and the voices, and that's how you guys know, right? I am very excited about this. This finish, while not exactly the same, is actually very similar to the finish that we see on the Spyderco Paysan, which is a $650 S90V integral from Spyderco. It really is very similar. It's not exactly the same. I own that knife, but it is very, very similar. I don't know how they're doing it, but Artisan Cutlery, I would like you to do this on everything. I would like this to be the new standard option aside or alongside coatings. If you want to do a plain tumbled finish and this and a coating, I think that's fine, but I think this should absolutely take the place of your basic satin finish. It won't surprise me if they don't do that, though, because, you know, I know that people are going to want this finish, right? And it's very easy to call this a premium finish. But getting the combination of S90V and this finish under $200 is just such a magnificent thing. So I really like this, and I know that, you know, in the past, Artisan has been very good with their pricing. I can't see any reason that they would change it now, but I really hope that they don't. I really hope they keep this finish reasonable. The blade is perfect. There's no wonkiness or goofiness or anything like that. The edge is done well. There's a sharpening choil. Really, really nice. Nice tip. Great for EDC. Great. Just a fantastic EDC blade profile. Inside of the hole is knocked down, so that won't be uncomfortable. You won't be shaving any fingernails or anything like that. Backspacer, nothing special going on there. We have a right hand only pocket clip. Right hand only. But it is textured and very, very nice. I've seen knives. Now, obviously, this knife is made in China, which is why it's $200. Right? If that isn't clear, the reason they can get this to $200, people like to, you know, how come we can get knives like that for $200 when this company's charging up? Because it's not made in China. It really is that much cheaper to manufacture this stuff in China. There's no way. If you tried to make this in the United States, exactly this, $600 bare minimum. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it, but that's legitimately what you're looking at, $600. And that, I think we might be lucky to get that polish on S90V with titanium, textured contoured titanium for under $600 or even $600. I would guess $650. So yeah, that's why they can get it there. It's not that they're a charity, it's that their costs are substantially lower. Right? Now, Artisan Cutlery does a great job, though. Very precision production manufacturing, and it shows here. We have a steel lock bar insert doubling as the over travel stop. We didn't really finish about the clip. The only other thing that bothers me is instead of this, I like a swoop, a down, and an up. I don't like a down, an up, and an over. Why? Because it gets a little pinchy. It gets a little mashy, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Retention's good. Clip is short, which is nice because it's not in the middle of your palm. Noticeable difference there. All clips should be well behind the 50% line on a pocket knife, right? Unless you're freaking travel by grappling hook, in which case, okay, fine, you need a body length pocket clip, but most of us don't, right? Batman. Maybe Shabazz travels that way. Shabazz doesn't even like a long clip, so so there you go. There's no reason, right? If Shabazz doesn't travel by grappling hook, right? Or if Shabazz travels by grappling hook and doesn't need a long clip, then you don't need a long clip either. I'm kidding. You can like whatever you want. Stop pin is internal, and there's studs on either side of the blade running on channels carved out of the titanium, which means we have an additional point of contact over a traditional stop pin, which is a single point of contact. Nice. Why is that nice? Because it adds lockup solidity without taking away from the potential smoothness and makes it easy to maintain centering with that smoothness. That's why I like that. That system has been proven, at least to me, to be a little bit better over time. I'm not talking about durability. I'm talking about getting the trifecta of those things together. Speaking of lockup, completely and totally solid. No blade play up, down, left, or right. No lock stick whatsoever. No pivot lash. Smooth as butter. Very nice. How about the centering? Yep. Spot on. With no detent lash. This is stupidly recommendable. It says $199. Not only did they give us S90V in titanium, very nice contoured textured titanium clip, milled backspacer. They gave us all that stuff. And S90V, and then they added a near mirror polish to it. Dude, this is one of the best value knives under $200 right now. I haven't seen anything this mind-blowing since Max Ace did the Black Mirror. I'm just really, really blown away and so impressed by this knife. The design is amazing. Mr. Ortiz did a great job. Artisan did a great job executing it. This is phenomenal. For a lot of people, this will be like their pride and joy EDC knife, and they are able to get it for under $200, which is awesome. There are plenty of Chinese production OEMs out there, Chinese production companies, that could make this and would definitely charge $300 for it in a heartbeat. Artisan Cutlery didn't. They charged us $200. That is a fair price tag. That's a deal. Yeah. Extremely recommendable. It's going to go in my most recommended knives playlist. It's also going to go in my favorite knives of all time playlist. I was so pumped when I opened this up for the first time. What an awesome knife. Very cool. That's going to be it. I'm keeping this one, guys. that one's staying with me. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Please check out the links in the description for this knife and other Artisan Cutlery knives. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.